We're here to make a new type of news.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Making news just for you. It's August 21st here in Seoul. I'm Shin-Yoon, and this is News Generation, where we make the news at Arirang's very own open studio. Every morning, we'll discuss the top issues and latest current affairs affecting people in their 20s and 30s. Joining me in the studio is Niall Song.
Good morning.
Good morning, and Walter Lee.
Lovely to be here.
Now, both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. As usual, let's start with our news feed, which covers different hashtags and news items that have been trending on social media over the past 24 hours. The popular U.S. fashion brand Supreme has opened its first store here in the capital Seoul over the weekend. South Korea has become the 7th country in the world to have a store of this popular streetwear. Up till Saturday, only people who made online reservations could enter the store, but from today, the store will accept walk-ins. Recently, a local news outlet found that people in North Korea are investing more in private education, surprisingly in the subject of English. A researcher from the Korea Institute for National Unification found that some schools in the capital Pyongyang are now using Disney's movie Frozen as class material. The Unification Ministry also found that among North Korean defectors, 14% of them have received private education before, a big jump from what used to be 3.2%. North Korea has traditionally banned private education, saying it's discriminatory. And coming back to news here in South Korea, a woman in her 30s has died after being attacked with brass knuckles. The assailant, only identified as a 30-year-old man known as Che, is going through police investigation. He has reportedly told police that he wore 2 brass knuckles on each of his hands to beat and rape his target, but he had no intention of killing anyone. He also chose a park in Sillimdong, which is in the Gwanak district in southern Seoul, because it was close to his house. And because he had been there many times, he knew where there were no surveillance cameras. And this is yet another crime where the assailant randomly chose a victim in broad daylight. Local media reported the victim was an elementary school teacher who was heading to school to attend a training session for teaching staff. And the incident happened on Thursday. The victim was taken to the hospital, but after remaining unconscious for days, she died on Saturday. And before the victim's death, Che had been under investigation on suspicion of raping and injuring, but now he's being investigated on the suspicion of raping and killing. And this could increase his sentence to the death penalty if convicted. And over the past few weeks, we've been seeing so many knifing rampages and random murders where the assailant and the victim had no prior connection whatsoever. And this has called for stronger penalties against these assailants. So I would now like to expand the newsfeed to the studio and ask Walter what his thoughts are on this.
Obviously, this is not, it's horrible. That's all it is. A lot of people are wanting the death penalty for this person, and we've talked about this recently about whether we should get rid of the death penalty. It's obviously not that easy. These sort of unrelated incidents of people, males attacking females is getting a lot of attention these days, and it is it goes to show that where the judicial system is here in South Korea and that we're not having harsh enough penalties. We should be really cracking down on punishments. Now, I don't know if the death penalty is going to sway people's, stop them from committing crimes in the first place. I think other things need to be looked into before the death penalty. But yes, I think people like this should be actually locked up in a dark cell and not be let out to see the light of day. But that would, go against human rights.
Right. But you are calling for graver penalties just to better prevent any incidents like this from ever happening again, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So, I think that obviously it's not, as I said, I don't think it's going to sway people from attacking people, but at least they know that the government is going to, be very strict.
Yeah. Exactly. What about you, Nell?
Yeah, I do think that there needs to be heavier punishments than what we generally see in Korean society, but I think there needs to be an emphasis on their crime rather than on their rights as criminals. Walter mentioned human rights, but at times it seems like some people have given up their rights to be human by acting so inhumane. They're choosing to do this by saying, "Oh, I was only going to hurt them, not kill them," I believe it's very ridiculous.
All compelling arguments here in the studio, and that was our news feed for this Monday. Let's switch gears to our discussion topic of the day. On a brighter note, we're going to look at the latest consumption patterns found among the young generation. Take a look at the screen to find out more. Have you really wanted something that everyone else has? Or had FOMO, the fear of missing out? Did this ever push you to the brink of paying far more than you should have or waiting a ridiculous amount of time just to get what you wanted? Well, you're not alone. Buying the latest item or hottest product in town seems to be a growing consumption pattern among millennials and Gen Z. Here in Korea, the most wanted yet hard to find item at the moment is meoktaeggang. It's a snack made by 농심. It's been roughly 2 months since this snack, costing just $1 or $2, was released. But it's almost impossible to find, which is why people are paying 10 times more than its original price through online secondhand shops just to try it out. So I am one of the many who paid more than double the original price for this meoktaeggang. I paid around $7 for this. I'm so excited to try it out. And I'm going to try it out here with the panelists in the studio. So, Walter, would you like one?
Yes, please.
Wow, the smell, I can smell it. It's very strong already.
But this is so hard to find. Okay, let's try it out.
Wow.
It's so good.
Really?
No, you don't think it's worth $7?
Not worth $7 in my opinion. No.
Why not? Why not?
Well, I've tasted obviously what they have derived it from, and it's much better in its normal form, not in the packet form.
You don't? Okay, so Walter's not a big fan of meoktaeggang. What about you now?
I like it, but I just don't see why you would pay $7. No offense. Why you would pay $7 right now? Eventually, there'll be more, and you'll be able to eat it at its right price. I mean, it's very unique. The flavor is it's kind of fishy, but also really spicy. It has that kick to it. It's good. Don't get me wrong. It's just not worth $7.
What would pay $7 for it?
I don't know.
Well, you know what, guys? For people out there who did pay extra to get this, I am all for that. I am team meoktaeggang. This is really nice. And today we're going to be talking about the 4 distinctive marketing schemes that seem to have attracted consumers, specifically from our generation. Just like myself, there are many people who are susceptible to this so-called hunger marketing. So now, why don't you walk us through what this hunger marketing is all about?
Right. So hunger marketing, it doesn't necessarily mean, food, right? It means that it's a psychological approach at marketing, limiting the number of products so that people get kind of hungry for it.
Yeah.
Oh, that person has it, but I can't get it. So you become more and more anxious to get it. Like Yeun, who spent $7 to get this meoktaeggang. Meoktaeggang is actually a sister or brother product of 새우깡, which is a really popular snack here in Korea. And yeah, people are selling it on secondhand platforms, not eaten obviously, but they're selling it double, triple the original price. And this actually happened with many other products prior to this. Have you guys you've heard of honey butter chip?
Yes.
Honey butter chip, but when it first came out almost 10 years ago, I think 9 years ago, it was so popular that in my university, there was an ad to sell 1 chip. Like what we just had, that 1 chip for 500 won, or maybe like a couple of dimes in US money. Yeah. So people still bought it because they wanted to try it. They wanted to be included in the conversation of, oh, it's so great. So people did that. And I've seen adults back then give each other gifts, like serious gifts, with boxes of honey butter chip.
I remember that.
Yeah, that's how big the phenomenon was.
No, the consumer psychology behind that is you want your hands on a limited edition, and if everyone tried it out and you're not a part of it, you have that fear of missing out, which is why I can relate to why a lot of people fall susceptible to hunger marketing. You're not alone out there. And Walter, there's another popular marketing scheme that seems to be captivating our generation. A hint on what it is, it's the fact that it inevitably captures your attention because of its size, right?
Yes, so it seems like Korea is turning into America with big sizes, as now all Americans love their big sizes, and it turns out that Korea is too. Now, it all started probably back when YouTubers and influencers started with getting huge portions on their mukbang channels, right? They wanted to eat a lot. And now we've seen it go commercial with things like mega coffee that you can get very cheap. Or, as you may have seen in our VCR just then, a very, and don't adjust your screens, ladies and gentlemen, large ramen.
It's like 3 times the size of your head.
Yes, if you compare it to the size of my head, which is very big, it actually is the portion of 8 servings of ramen. Not sure why anyone would want to purchase this, but of course, it makes you look like a little Ken doll.
I mean, if you think about it, compared to regular 컵라면, it's 8 times bigger than that.
It's 8 times bigger than that, and that means it's 8 times the fun and calories.
Oh, the calories.
So yes, very, very hungry for this.
And I hear that big size marketing is popular because, I mean, if you just look at it, it's fun to watch.
I mean, people, for some reason, people just want to buy big things. I don't know why.
It seems surreal. It's almost like it's fake, like it's a toy almost for being so big. Like he mentioned earlier, it makes him feel like a Ken or Barbie holding a fake prop.
Exactly, and I think if I analyze the psychology behind that as well, I think it's for the gram too. You want to take pictures and upload it onto social media. You mentioned YouTube creators trying to eat this. Yeah, take a picture of Walter and then tag him, but it's really photogenic. I think it's really nice.
I think it's cute. I think it's the model that's a photogenic.
The model really helped, I guess, as well. Now let's take a look at the other two marketing ploys that have grasped young people's attention here in Korea. Could you introduce any other marketing schemes out there?
Right. I mean, there's so many nowadays. People are getting so creative, but social media.
Yes.
With the algorithm, it's limitless. You can continuously get so many different types of ad that's completely catered to your needs and wants, and of course, there's the limited edition things like we were just talking about. I mean, even with luxury brands, they always bring out this, oh, only you can have this. Only 5 people in the world can have this kind of thing. That mentality of, oh, I'm so unique.
You're exclusive.
Exclusive. I think that's what, that's what drives people. And also collaborations nowadays between brands, especially with food and cute characters like the Sanrio characters, like Hello Kitty on your donut. Who doesn't want a Hello Kitty donut?
It's so
Walter
cute.
doesn't want it.
Yeah, of course I do. Of course I do.
I want a Hello Kitty donut, and not just cute characters, but they have K-pop stars like BTS doing collaborations with McDonald's, and it's just the regular McNugget. But it seems more special because their face is on it.
Yeah.
Blackpink is doing a collaboration with Starbucks, and you feel like you should get the tumbler because it's pink.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that Blackpink collab with it, so as a fan, you are bound to try that out. Now, Walter, what about you? Would you like to add on?
I think it's just we've kind of talked about this on the show before. The younger generation are having these situations where they have to line up for a very long time. I mean, we just saw in our newsfeed as well, Supreme opened up, so people were lining up around the corner, and it was like online booking only for the first one. Do you remember when Shake Shack Burger came to town?
Oh,
everyone was lining up around the corner for this overpriced burger that you could probably get at McDonald's.
3 hours long line in Gangnam.
And then FiveGuys came with a pop-up store, and everyone wanted to get a burger that was also overpriced. And then again, K-pop with New Jeans has a pop-up store, and people waited in the typhoon to see their favorite New Jeans characters on a pop-up store.
Wow, the list goes on and on.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Now, speaking of all these different marketing schemes, did you guys ever fall to any of them? Were you really ever attracted to any of these schemes that you guys mentioned?
For me, no. I don't usually go for popular marketing schemes. I usually go the other way when something gets too popular or really sought after. I did, by chance, get the honey butter chips when they were in their peak, but I was sort of in with the convenience store lady, so I was like, she was very nice. And
right, you were a regular.
I didn't go out of my way.
But why?
Because I just don't like, the fear of missing out. I actually don't mind missing out because I feel like I'm still part of the people who are like not talking about this whole thing, and it gets kind of repetitive. I don't want to be a part of that.
That's your own way of feeling exclusive and special.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm not like the others.
Yeah, I like missing out. That's my go-to way. What about you?
I think the limited editions, not so much, but I do fall under the trickery that is the, social media ads. And they always pick this perfect, if I'm looking for a bag that's kind of bigger than the average size bag that you see around, they somehow match it perfectly. So yes, I've purchased a few from those ads, and I have been disappointed multiple times at the quality of its actual product. So, I think I've learned my lesson to not just jump in with online shopping and just do an impulse buy with things like that.
But you're not alone. I mean, who can say no to customized ads?
Right.
It seems like that they're listening to every conversation you have with your friends and your search history. They choose the best product for you at a very appropriate and questionable time.
Yeah.
Now, what do you guys think is the psychology or reason, though, people do find these marketing schemes to be very appealing to the extent that they decide to buy it?
I mean, like I just mentioned, some of it is impulse buy because a lot of it keeps popping up over and over, and you're like, okay, this must mean something. It means the algorithm is working. But yeah, so you kind of go into it, the impulse buy. It's so easy, especially if you have your credit card already set up, just a few buttons and boom, and it's coming to your house. And then also, if it's a popular product like the meoktaeggang we just had, it's the fear of missing out. There's different things, not just in food, but in different brands of leggings even.
Right.
And there's a trend amongst influencers saying, oh, I just bought the something famous, like social media famous leggings. I just bought the social media famous this. And you wonder, maybe if it's that good, I should try it too. So you end up buying it too.
And I think we can cut you some slack given that you are an influencer yourself. You're always keen on the trends out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, which makes you keep wondering. But as a person who's okay with missing out, do you still understand why people do fall susceptible to these marketing schemes?
I think, to be honest with you, it's 3 words: for the gram. That's all it is. It's just for showing off and to be, a part of a group of people that seems to get very popular once they invest in this item or get this item. So it's for showing off, in my opinion.
Well, if I may add my opinion, and as a person who jumped onto the hunger marketing trend, I think it's because of sole curiosity. I'm just genuinely curious to see and find out whether it's that good.
But you're impatient because it'll come out eventually for everyone to do it, but you want to be in that trend timing.
Maybe. I want to try it right now. And I also asked what our viewers had to say on today's topic. If you take a look at the screen, you can see what 3 of our global viewers had to say. Let's start off with Jiawei Key. It says, does buying an iPhone count? I certainly don't regret buying my iPhone XR. It only has 4G and 3G, but no 5G. I may consider buying an iPhone 15 when it does come out. The Power Ranger 200 said, I make sure to look at reviews from people before purchasing anything from the ads shown to make sure that the site is 100% legit and not a scam. Benny D97 says, I think no, I don't buy things because of social media trends because I'm careful about what I'm gonna buy and I may basically end up getting scammed. So I think our viewers are very smart consumers out there, but why don't we now use this time to hear from a marketing expert to see what the latest strategies look like elsewhere in the world and also find a few tips on how to become smarter consumers. Let's include an assistant professor of marketing from the University of Louisville in the States. It's Dr. Aaron Barnes. Welcome, Professor Barnes.
Thanks, guys, for having me.
All right, so apart from the few key marketing strategies that seem to have captivated a lot of young people in Korea, what are the latest trends that have been proven effective in the States among millennials and Gen Z?
There's a lot of similarities between what's going on over there in Korea and what's happening here in the States. And it's really it's simple. We don't need to overthink it. This generation spends more time on its phone than any other generation before it. So those campaigns, those strategies that happen organically and start online, mobile, those are the ones that win. And moreover, it's really about showing up authentically in those right spaces and places for those causes that Gen Z consumers care about online, and taking it from the screen to the streets when it's appropriate. But really focusing on those screens, right? The video content and the ability to share and to gain some social proof by others liking and also commenting, that carries a lot of weight with Gen Z. Think about what's taken place over the past couple of years with the pandemic, the ways to build community that are digitally mediated, right? And so to be able to affiliate with my friend if I had to use some piece of technology. Now brands are getting a piece of reaction and saying, look, we want to win. We need to be where people are at.
I see. Can I ask you the second question by asking, compared to the previous generation, how does our current generation decide what to buy? What's our distinctive consumer psychology trait in our generation?
Yeah, compared to older generations, it's the millennial generations right before the Gen Z, there's a lot more hanging on the values that a brand associates with. So because there's so much time spent on phones amongst Gen Z, they have a lot more information at their fingertips. So they know what brands support, endorse, or oppose, or silent on, and that means something to them, right? If they don't align with the right things, if they oppose the wrong things, like the right things, right? That can shift preferences. They might make a Gen Z person pick a brand more so than it would make a millennial person just because they're not as used to looking up that type of information about a brand that they're going to buy from. It might not matter to them. I think it matters more so to us. That's distinct.
Excellent. And just quickly, any marketing traps or schemes to look out for, and how can we become smarter consumers?
And I really liked the ones that you all brought up about the big packaging or the scarcity, the hunger marketing. Those are traps to avoid, right? Like if you don't have the means to actually buy, like if you can, obviously indulge, right? But one thing I wanted to call our attention to are these buy now, pay later tactics that marketers are employing that have the veneer, they have the disguise of our credit cards. But they come from individual department stores or brands that at least it appears that way to the consumer. When they're buying something, they see, oh, I can get this now and pay later. They might have the added benefit of not having to pay interest right away. But what it does is it just inflates how much money you actually have. And it encourages you psychologically to think, I can afford more than I can. And before you know it, you might have outspent yourself just because you're paying later on so many things that you might not have bought initially if you were paying all of it up front. So that's one thing I encourage people to just be aware of and to manage with your own budgets. Those buy now, pay later things can be tricky.
So basically you're buying time to really find out whether this is a smart thing to buy or not. All right, we'll take that into
the money, right?
Yeah, if you have the money. All right, thank you so much, Professor Barnes. It was a pleasure to hear from you today.
Likewise, thank you so much again.
All right, and Professor Barnes gave me a really good tip. I am going to start doing the buy now, pay later thing because I did fall under the hunger marketing. And to be honest, I really like that experience. But what about you, Walter?
Yeah, well, for me, I still don't believe in the hype. Like, I'm so glad I didn't go and pay double the price just for those chips.
But at least you tried it.
I tried it through a friend, obviously. So, but yes, for me, it's, I don't follow the hype.
Okay, what about you, Nell?
Yeah, honestly, I think I have this mentality. I won't die if I don't have this right now, and there will be a new trend soon, and I just kind of wait for them to release the stocks, and so there's more numbers, and they'll have to eventually to sell to people to make profit. I mean, unless you're an expensive luxury bag only exclusively for people, in which case I don't need it. Yeah. So I think it's that mentality I have to keep telling myself. Otherwise, I'll be like you, Yeun.
Right. I guess the moral of the day is then buy yourself time in order to be a smart consumer. And regardless of what type of marketing employees there are out there, be cautious and only do it when you're actually ready. And we'll be here every day from 9:30 to 10 a.m. Korea time, bringing you more topics young people are talking about. Special thanks to Nell Song,
no problem,
and Walter Lee.
Lovely to be here.
All right, and thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. We are News Generation.